Am I live? Can y'all hear me? All right, so can you guys hear me or anything wrong with the audio or anything like that? All right, cool. So just to get like started off and stuff, just tell me like scale of 1 to 5, how good do you guys think you are at short answer questions, that type of thing, and just tell me like what you think you're best at regarding it, what you're worst at regarding it, stuff like that. 4, okay. 3, 4. Okay, so kind of like all over the place in general. 4, 3. Okay, so yeah, we're pretty much kind of middle of the road. That's okay. That's a pretty good place to be actually at this point of the year. Never done one, can't get any full points. Okay, that's okay. So we're just going to be going through. So what we're going to be doing tonight is just going through tips and tricks and stuff, and what I did that helped me most on the exam. And then also we're going to be going through some examples, and then we're going to write one fully as a group. So that should be fun. Let me just pull this up here. There we go. Okay, so first of all, if you want to follow Fiveable, no, I didn't. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, I can't know for sure. But just looking at what I wrote, I think I know I did well, but I'm not sure if I got a perfect score. I hope I did. Anyway, so that's just Fiveable social media. If you want to, follow us, shameless plug, whatever, corporate shill. All right. But yeah, so let's just jump right into it. So the format of the short answer questions. Essentially, it's part two, the first half of the AP World exam. So you have the multiple choice section, and then around a minute later, they just swap the papers, and you start the short answer, and you get 40 minutes to answer 3 short answer questions. So you get around, give or take, like 12 minutes a question. So it's pretty generous actually on time when you think about it. If you try when doing it on your own, you can usually do it within 10. Each short answer question will have 3 points. So it's out of 9 points total, the short answer. And each one of those 3 will have an A, a B, and a C in it. So essentially, it'll just, yeah, it's not, yeah, they're generally pretty simple. They're not long, they're not too complicated. And I'll go in how to write them and how to really format your answer into a really good score. It's 20% of your total exam score, so it's the second lowest, I want to say. I believe it's the second lowest. Basically, it goes LEQ is 15, SAQ is 20, DBQ is 25, and multiple choice is 40. So I still pay attention and do well on it, but it's not it's not the most scored. And it's also actually the newest part of the AP World exam. It wasn't added until like 2 years ago or something like that, like the year before last. So it's definitely one of the much newer topics. Also, if you guys need me to zoom in on the slides or anything, just let me know. All right. Yeah, it is. All right. So, okay, cool. So the scoring of the short answer questions. You can earn 9 points total for your 3 short answer questions. So you get 3 points each. But the thing is, you can get like partial credit on a short answer question. So you can get A and B correct and then C wrong, or B and C correct but A wrong. That being said, though, you can only get a point or lose a point. There's no like half a point, half credit on like a part A. Yeah, it is only 1,200 to the present next year. Also, if you guys have any questions really regarding AP World, but specifically the short answer questions, just drop them in the question section just so I can get to it and answer it. All right. And also, you can only gain points. So if you get a part wrong, you just don't get any points. You don't lose anything. And so that means basically that you should answer everything. Just write something down. When in doubt, write it down, really. In anything on the AP exam. If you think something, just write it down. Don't worry, is it right? Is it wrong? You'll be okay, because as long as you get the point, whatever, you could write down gibberish for the rest of the question and you'll get the point still. All right. So now we're just going to go over. So do you guys have any questions regarding like the format and scoring and stuff for the exam? Just like, nope. Okay. So now we're just going to start going over general tips and tricks and other little things like that, and just how to be sure you get the points. All right. So the first thing is some short answer questions will come with a map, a document, a painting, some stimulus. So for example, we'll be doing one with a stimulus in just a couple minutes, where basically it's just like a DBQ or an MCQ document, just in the sense that you have to read the document and figure out what it's asking. Yeah, it is kind of like a DBQ, but only you're not going to get 7 documents and then a short answer question. You're going to get 1, maybe 2 excerpts. So, yeah. And like them, you're going to have to examine it carefully, get the argument, message, whatever it's about. And then you're going to also want to really read the sourcing. So they could definitely... No, Mark, you will never have an AP World test with no stimulus. For the short answer, you might have 3. It's unlikely, but you could technically have 3 dead, just regular questions like that. But for the multiple choice, it will be all stimulus. And the DBQ, obviously, is document-based. And some short answer questions may give you 2 documents and then ask you to talk about how they have similar and different arguments. So, for example, one that we're not going to be going over tonight since it's period 6 gave you 2 documents on the Cold War and then said, for part A, give an example of evidence that supports document A's argument. Part B, give an example that supports B's argument. And then C, some other thing. I can't quite remember the question. All right. Just a quick note on picking between question 3 and 4. With the, I didn't mention this earlier. That was a mistake. But for the short answer questions, there's 4 questions that they give you. But for 3 and 4, you can choose one or the other. So question 3 will be periods 1, 2, or 3. Question 4 will be periods 4, 5, and 6. So you can choose one or the other. So first off, don't spend too much time choosing. If you spend 15 minutes just trying to figure out what you're doing, you won't have enough time to actually write the question and figure it out. Read them both carefully. Make sure you know what they're asking.
Good night.
Yeah. Good night. That was embarrassing. Anyway, you want to read the questions carefully and know what it's asking. So yeah, we'll go over how to. We're gonna go over like how to figure out what they're asking and stuff later and how to write them. So that's definitely an important thing that I definitely struggled with for the first couple little weeks, months of school, and so but also pick the one you know the most about. So if not necessarily the one, it might be the one you like the most, but your favorite topic could be World War I, for example. But if you get an easy short answer question that you really know about, and then a difficult one that you really couldn't answer, but it's on World War I, pick the one that's easiest for you. It most likely will be what you like because you'll be more inclined to, learn about it. But just for the future, if you ever have a choice between questions, pick the one you would be able to answer best and score the most points on, even if you won't like writing the answer as much. All right, this is basically my king of writing a short answer question. It's called the ACE method. There's 3 parts to it. It is incredibly simple, so don't worry about it. But it basically has 3 portions to it. The A stands for answer. So you're going to give a specific answer to the question. You're basically you're starting off your answer, your similarity, your difference, your change, your continuity, et cetera, et cetera. And then for the C, assertion, evidence, connection, that's a similar one. But answer, cite, explain is just what I use. Cite, you're going to give a specific piece or 2 of specific historical evidence. Make sure it's as specific as you can possibly make it. Drop names, drop people, events, even, just things that could help your response. And then finally, explain. So explain how your evidence proves your point. No, you can name drop. I'm saying historical figures, for example. Don't write your name in the exam. They actually, I think, specifically say don't write your name on the exam. It doesn't. I didn't. So, yeah. And each ABC part should only have around 3 to 5 sentences. It shouldn't be. It's not an essay. It's not. You don't need a thesis statement. You don't need a giant long. It's not a monologue. It's what, why, how is there? Basically, the what, why, how is kind of it. Yeah. What is your answer? Why is your evidence? How is that's kind of it works. ACE is just what I use. What if it just says identify? That's what we're going to go over. Most of the questions will start with identify. Oh, if it just says identify. No, explain just to be safe. If it says identify a change that occurred in the whatever, still, you're gonna have to explain just generally, and it couldn't hurt to. So, but I can usually see them always saying identify and explain. All right. What not to do on the thing? Don't write a big paragraph. So answer A, B, C separately. Write A, answer, B, answer, C, answer. don't write it as one big paragraph answering all 3 parts. It could work and it could get you all 3 points. I've seen examples where it gets all 3 points, but you really got to know what you're doing. I say ABC separately. Just kind of write exactly. Keep it simple, stupid. And answer what the question asks. I see a lot of people doing this. You want to answer what the question asks, not what you want it to ask. So essentially, if you really would love the question to be asking about religion in the Han Empire, but instead it's asking about social stratification, you don't answer the question you want it to. Answer the question that it's actually asking. Third, don't overanalyze. This is kind of going along with the fact that you shouldn't write a lot. Just kind of keep it simple. Give some evidence, give some quick explanation, and then don't use bullets or draw pictures. They even, I think they say this, only full sentences are scored. Pictures aren't scored. Bullets are not scored. Full sentences only. All right. So I'm just going to show you this here. So let me let it load real quick. There we go. This is the page you get for the short answer question. This is how much space you have on the exam for A, B, and C. So essentially, it might not look like a lot of space. Yeah, but it's actually more than enough. It is it's a lot. Like I'll show you. I'm about to flip and show you what my short answer question on the exam looked like. Those blue lines were just from where I got it from. They were labels. Those won't be on the sheet. Those are just from a College Word thing. But as you can see, it's simple. It's just a box, and then you're just gonna write like A there, couple lines, B there, couple lines, C there, and ignore the fact that it says A push here. It's the same thing. It's the same one for A push, AP World, AP Euro, since they streamlined the test a couple of years back. And that's what it looks like. So this was one of mine from the other year. So you can see it's the same length. It's just A, B, C. So you can see I kind of graded myself and was seeing what I would have gotten, but just A, a little bit, B, a little bit, C, a little bit. And you can see I even had a line left over. So it really, well, it's not a big paragraph. As you can see, I wrote A, B, and C, and then, yeah. All right. So here's the example that we're, like you're saying, Andrew, you're saying like answer it C, B, A, for example. You could, I mean, I guess you would get the points if you got it right, but typically, yeah, as long as you labels, if you say A, B, C, or like B, A, C, let's say, is the answer you order it in, as long as you make it seem, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but I wouldn't say it's like awful, it won't lose you points, I should say. All right, so here's the example that we're going to go over. So this was from the 2017 exam, if I recall correctly. So this was from, I think, the first exam that they had one. And so let's just take a look at this, take a step back, and read the question and try to just rationalize what's going on. So we can see the image shows on the left. It was on the left here, but it's, yeah. So on the left, I'm going to butcher this, Guo Ziyi, sorry, a Chinese general of the Tang Dynasty meeting with, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, nomads on the frontier of China. So let's take a look at what's going on in this picture right here. So we see, first of all, I saw some of you point out, we've got the Kowtow going over here, tribute system, definitely comes to mind. Tang Dynasty, that's one of the big things with them, their empire building, their, what am I going to say? Yeah, their tribute system. So that's definitely something to come to mind. Then we can see some other things. We can see the nomad bowing down, stuff like that. So for this one, I'm going to show you the example answer, and these all earn the points, what I'm about to show you. And then we're going to write one on the Columbian exchange. So, yeah. just so I know, has anyone here not on period 4? Or is, like, tell me what period you're on generally, like what time period? 4, okay. 3, you have a Columbian exchange project due Thursday. Oh, I remember my unit 5. Wow, really? Unit 5. Okay, that's impressive. Unit 5, 3. Okay, 3. So you're almost done with 3. Okay, so you're all generally around there. I'll explain the Columbian exchange a little bit just for you guys still on period 3, but it's not a hard concept, so you'll be okay. So let's take a look at what these examples look like. So first off, here it is. So I underlined the answer in green, the evidence in red, and the explanation in blue. So we can see first off, I just want to ask, do you want me to read it or do you want just for me to give you guys a minute to read it and then I can go over it? All right, I'll just read it for this one. So, yeah, I will. All right, so for part A, the continuity that exists between the Central Asian nomads and the Chinese is that the Chinese can, I just realized we never read the question. Wow, I'm an idiot. All right, let's go back and read the questions. Whew, okay, I'm okay. Winter break just ended. So, first part, identify and explain one way in which the interaction depicted in the image represents a continuity in Chinese imperial history. Okay, so it's basically asking for a continuity shown in this photo, right? The things that should tick you off, first of all, the word continuity should tick you off. You know, and when it says depicted in the image, you know you're going to have to pull straight from the image. And then it's always going to say something along the lines of identify and explain. So you're going to have to, that's how you know you're just going to give, basically, you're going to have to answer something. You're going to have to give an example, identify something. So now let's take a look at part A, and then we'll just go back, read part B, so on and so forth. All right, so it's asking for a continuity. So a continuity that exists between the Central Asian nomads and the Chinese is that the Chinese continued to be very ethnocentric and believed that they were superior to the nomads. This is shown by the nomads bowing down to the Tang dynasty's general, which was required in showing their inferiority. All right, I have trouble coming up with more than one example. That's fine. They're usually going to only ask for one example per part. They actually probably only will. So, yeah, that's usually not a problem. If you can come up with one, that's pretty good. If they ask for another, then you're going to have to come up with two, but you can still earn that 1 point for that first part that they asked for one. So, yeah. All right, so we can see in this answer earned the point. First of all, note it's only 2 sentences long. Like, it's not a complicated answer. It's definitely not the strongest short answer question I've ever read, but it's definitely, it earns the point. It gets it done. So we can see, first of all, it directly states an answer. So just the continuity that exists is that the Chinese continue to be ethnocentric. Simple, easy, you know, straight to the point. No convoluted, no, just straight to it. And then they specifically give evidence from the photo. So you can see the nomads bowing down to the Tang dynasty's general. So basically, it's pulling straight from the image. It's saying, this is from the image. This is how the image proves my point, what I'm saying. And then finally, it says, which was required in showing their inferiority. That's their explanation. That's how they connect their evidence to their answer, where they connect the nomads bowing down to ethnocentricity and things like, you know, the Chinese being very ethnocentric. So that's what your explanation is. It's how you connect, how you basically explain, you know, why am I right? Imagine if when you were answering the questions, ask yourself, what's my answer? How do I know? And prove it, basically. So that's what you're going to be doing for those 3 to 5 sentences, give or take. Those are the 3 biggest things that you're going to have to answer for each ABC part. All right. Let's go back and read part B. All right. So identify and explain another way in which the interaction depicted in the image represents a continuity in Chinese imperial history. Because it is proven. Yeah, so basically this question is asking us it's asking the same question. It's just saying, name another one. If you can't think of another one, that's okay. We'll go over the answer. And then the thing is, usually, I'll be honest, you can usually make up an answer and sometimes you might get lucky. So really, even if you got to this part and you got, you know, oh my God, I'm frozen. I don't know what to write. Oh God, write something down. Exactly, really. Not gonna say that out loud, but pretty much, yeah, this is what this is a tutorial on. All right, so they're looking for another, Giesel, you said trade? I'm sure that could actually be an honest to God real answer. That could be good. You could probably argue, give evidence, talk about how there were peaceful things going on, and then explain. That's a good answer. Nice. I actually didn't think about that. All right, so part B. There it is. All right, so another reason why the interaction depicts a continuity is because the nomads show respect to the general as most civilians did. This was due to Confucianism's emphasis on relationships, and the man bowing in the picture shows this respect to the general, probably to peacefully negotiate. So this answer was, you know, a little bit longer, a little bit more, yeah, really? honestly, when in doubt, the answer is probably going to be trade. Like, I'm not kidding. If you have to write something down and the clock's ticking and you don't know what you're writing, trade. Yeah, Confucianism, honestly, I wouldn't have thought of this if this was my answer. I would have failed this one. But so basically, first he answers it. He gives his answer. He says, it's because they have to show respect. And then he explains it's because of Confucianism and how it's continued from the Han Dynasty from period 2. All right. And then his evidence is that the man's bowing. He's not fighting. He's not, he's being peaceful. All right. Confucianism it's definitely very family based, but it's just about relationships and harmony and social kind of peace. So it's not necessarily just family. And then finally, let's do the part C. So now it's gonna give us a change. So typically these are gonna follow a theme. So the 3 or 4 historical thinking skills. We have comparison. We have continuity and change over time, and causation are the big 3. This one's a continuity and change question. You can clearly see that. And so this next part C is going to ask, identify and explain one way in which the interaction changed after 1100. Could you say tribal? Do you mean tribute system? Yeah, you could definitely say tribute system. That's basically what it said. It was in that realm. So yeah, that would work. Yeah, part C is a big one is the Mongols. I think that's actually the answer that's given. The Mongols would be my go-to answer here. Like, Mongols. My teacher said, oh God, you poor students. Okay, so now let's go over part C. So you can see one thing that you notice throughout all 3 of these answers is that they follow the ACE format. Answer, cite, explain. Answer, cite, explain. Answer, cite, explain. It completely works. And this one's a really perfect example of how to do ACE. So first, they give an answer. It changed when the Mongols met China. That's their answer, the Mongols, right? As simple as that. Then the Mongols, their evidence, the Mongols, a group of Central Asian nomads, invaded China and created a new dynasty, the Yuan dynasty. So they give a specific example, the Yuan dynasty, and how they invaded China. And then they explain how that's a change. So you can see that blue line. I feel like the explain is definitely what I struggled with the most. I feel like most students can give an answer and give solid evidence. It's connecting the two and kind of making that stronger connection between the two. So for this one, it says this was unlike past interactions because in the past, a nomadic group had never created a new Chinese dynasty. So here, it's simple. Why is it a change? Because it's never happened before. It's a change. There's never been a nomadic dynasty take over China. It's always been, Shang, Zhou, Qin, Han, Sui, Tang, Song. Suddenly the Yuan shows up and we're like, oh my God, Mongols just took over China. The Mongols just invaded China. What the heck? So there's nothing wrong with stating the obvious? No, there's nothing wrong. For me, I never assume things are super obvious. They might be obvious to me, but I think about it in terms of like, I have to explain. I have to give my why. Imagine there's someone creeping over your shoulder in the middle of your answering your questions, just saying, prove it. Why is that right? How is that right? Tell me why that's right. Elbow that person and you get a 2. So yeah. So basically now, also don't be afraid to scribble out. If you write something wrong and you're like, oh crap, and you're going to be writing in pen on the exam, just heads up. Basically, don't be afraid to scribble stuff out. Like grammar, first of all, grammar doesn't matter on these as long as it's legible and as long as it doesn't detract from the readability of it, you'll be fine in terms of actually being able to, improper grammar. My teacher actually had a kid write in pencil on the exam. Oh, they were freaking out. Not this year, but it was a couple years back, and she was telling me about it. It was rough. All right. But yeah, don't be afraid to scribble out. But also, and one thing I want to note, make sure not to scribble out words that you want. Anything that's scribbled out, no matter what, will not be graded. It won't be counted, won't be, it won't be a thing. It's like you just, snapped it into the past, Thanos right there. Half your essay is just gone. All right. Wow. That was rough. Okay. So now I'm pretty sure, yep. So, all right. So, you guys ready to do an example? Do you think that you guys are able to, this one will be on the, yep, you guys are excited? All right. I'm going to, there's a document that I have set up for everyone that basically I'm going to drop in the chat for all of us. And then you guys can hop on and just hang out while we write an example. So you guys will be able to view it. You guys won't be able to edit, but you'll be able to see as I write my example. When did I take the exam? I took the exam in last year. I took the most recent exam in 2018. So last year now. But before we get started, let me just answer some of these questions here. All right. Why do we only get 1 page for short answer questions on the AP exam? I think it's mainly because they're not meant to be big things. They're meant to be short answer questions. They're meant to be quick, to the point. Can you recall evidence and explain that evidence quickly? No need to overthink. Exactly. Keep it simple. Even if you use up all the space, you'll be okay. And really, if that's your problem, writing too much, work on it. It's not a bad thing if you're writing. It is a bad thing, but it's not something that can't be fixed. Work on forcing yourself to stay within those bounds. Work on, so it's 1 page for each question, so you get 3 pieces of paper, but there's 1 for part A, 1 for part B, 1 for part C. Were the Arabs pioneers in grape surgery? Dead meme. That's how mafia works. All right. Sorry. Whew. All right. So, Mickey, you are a level 1 hitman. Sorry. So, aren't the keywords what, why, how? That's certainly something you can say. What is your answer? Why is your example? How is your connection? So it's really, it's a good one. It's not what I used last year on the exam. I always used ACE. And really, by the time the exam comes around, you get it down to a science as long as you've done enough practice. You really get down to what you're doing. If you show up to the exam and you don't know a format or how you can write something, you're kind of screwed. So you want to at least have some way to do it. Yeah, I'm a sophomore right now, Giesel. Guys, I'm sorry for mispronouncing your name. All right. All right. How important is the name drop in evidence? Being specific about Confucius is important, no? All right. So basically you want to be able to give specific evidence. If you just say, for example, if you drop something like some super broad event, you might get the point if you're lucky, but I say stick to specific evidence. Even if you name 2 pieces, 1 or 2 pieces, just name, if you say religion in China is a continuity, no, they're not going to give you that point because religion was literally everywhere. If you say Confucianism in China, yeah, you get that answer. And then if you can provide evidence. Do you think birds are real and not drones made by the US government? The government is lizards. All right. Also, what do you think would be a common long, I'm assuming LAQ is long answer question. I say LAQ, long essay, but same difference. For period 5, a good period 5 one would probably be on, I would say if you want one to write, analyze the extent to which social classes changed during the Industrial Revolution. There you go. All right. So now let's get started on this. I just know what I'm doing. It's because by the time the exam came around, I had this stuff down to a science. I had this down to I was writing these at 20-minute paces. So, so will you. So let's start going over this. Let me just take a second to switch my screen here. Let me bring myself back up while I do this. Let me see, how can I, that's an issue. Okay. Let's see, close, oh, there we go. Okay, give me 1 second to get up the tab. There we go. Can we see it? We're perfect. We can see it. Epic. So basically, this is the question. So we're going to go A, B, C, and I'm going to take your actual example. So you're going to be the ones to actually write the SAQ part by part. So, so first, A, identify and explain 1 cause of the Columbian exchange. Simple enough. First, let's start with just our answer. Give me a cause of the Columbian exchange. All right, just everyone try to. Okay, trade. Demographic disaster. Okay, Mickey, think a little bit. You're thinking effects. All right, European motivation to explore. Need for Asian wealth, navigating around the Muslims, Asian good stuff. Okay, so you guys are all giving good answers, but think about it this way. I'm sure you could argue the need for Asian good stuff, mercantilism, these are all valid pieces of evidence, perhaps. But the 1 cause, what happened that kicked off the Columbian exchange? Columbus. So more broad than just Columbus. Europeans arrived, yeah, the age of exploration, exactly. Europeans arrived in the Americas. That was the cause of the Columbian exchange, right? Europeans arrive, boom, a bunch of stuff starts happening. So that's the really big cause of it. You could argue, yeah, the cause of that was, the Ottomans take over and they force them to go west, or they want those sweet meatballs from Asia, stuff like that. So one cause of the Columbian exchange. So first, write out a sentence, or maybe two, I'd say one, that gives your answer like you were going to answer this question. So just drop like a sentence as if this was your real answer on the AP exam. And then I'll pick one that I like and just drop it in there as our answer. One cause of the Columbian exchange is the discovery of Americas. Okay. One cause of the Columbian exchange was the age of exploration. One cause of the Columbian exchange was the discovery of the Americas prompted by the age of exploration. I like that one. That's a good one. All of the ones you gave were fine. I'd say saying the age of exploration was a little bit broad. I'd say the arrival of Europeans to the Americas, but you're definitely on the right track in terms of like how you're formatting your answer. Yeah, really, you want to be blunt with these. So when you're saying, and it says identify and explain one cause, you want to say one cause was, and then drop your answer. So here, I'm going to probably paste that and then make that a little bigger. There we go. So a cause of the Columbian exchange was the discovery of the Americas prompted by the age of exploration. So now I want you guys to give me a solid couple sentences giving me specific evidence. Drop names, drop explorers, drop, maybe drop some crops. I don't know. So give me specific evidence. Don't just say European travelers. Don't just say European travelers brought crops to the United States. Give me some specific stuff, some real good, juicy evidence. In terms, like, as if you were writing Napoleon? No, that's not till the 1800s. 1815 is when the Napoleonic Wars end. For example, when Columbus discovered the Americas, the Europeans desired the goods that were only found in the Americas. European leaders wanted to seek sea routes to Asia, so the monarchy decided to award a royal charter to Columbus. Okay, so I see where you guys are going with this. You're thinking about this a little bit too backwards. Not backwards, but like you're thinking about the causes that made Columbus leave rather than the fact that the evidence that you want to give is Columbus, Magellan, Pizarro, Cortez, those first couple Spanish, Ponce de Leon, even, you could probably, drop. You don't have to name all of these, but probably, yeah, name a good couple. And so, for example, try to give me, for example, give me a couple sentences explaining, for example, when I'm trying to think, wow. Once Columbus, Magellan, Vespucci, and other travelers had explored the Americas, it was found that there were lush crops and much need for them in their home countries. But if you give those, the Columbian exchange didn't happen until actual Columbus came to the Americas. So how would explorers that came before justify this? Columbus was the first European besides like Leif Erikson, which we're talking about the Columbian exchange here. So Columbus, yep, you could probably drop potatoes, corn, tomatoes, cocoa, tobacco. But yeah, I think what Melissa had was good. Not necessarily. We might want to tweak the wording of it, but the actual content of it is pretty good, at least in my opinion. If there's a teacher in the chat that's like cringing at what I'm saying, please like roast me. All right, let me just drop this. So now let's start tweaking this to make it a suitable answer. So for example, what we have here is what's wrong with it is the fact that it's saying once Columbus, Magellan, Vespucci, and other travelers had explored the Americas. So first of all, capital letters. No, it doesn't matter. So basically, we want to say that you could say prior to the arrival. That's actually your explanation. That could be your explanation here. That's a perfect explanation. And actually, you might want to. You could say either of this. So I'll paste that in there. So now here we go. So there's our answer so far, and then we can start tweaking this into a good, proper, nice, victory royale we got going here. So, basically, the only thing that might need a little bit of tweaking is our evidence. So what we might want to say is once Columbus, Magellan, Vespucci, and such travelers had explored the Americas, it was found that there were lush crops and much need for them in their home countries. Perhaps I would say probably stay away from Europe. You might want to say like I would say something along the lines of, but I'm going to use the same evidence just with different wording. So here we go. So like you could say something along the lines of like, after explorers like Christopher Columbus and Ferdinand Magellan arrived in the Americas, they kicked off, I don't know, cultural diffusion of crops and other goods. There we go. That's really all we need for this answer. Just, you know, and then you could even say such as corn and bananas. Sure, I think those are two. Yeah. Handwriting's okay as long as it's readable, legible. So something like that, where you name dropped some crops, you name dropped some people, and you talked about, specifically you mentioned the Columbian exchange. So you didn't mention how they showed up to, how they needed their stuff back home or something. You're going to specifically talk about how they kicked off cultural diffusion. And now for our explanation, we could say, so now try to give me an explanation on, try to connect these explorers to the Columbian exchange. Write a sentence or two. So I'm just going to wait for you guys to drop your answers in the chat. So I'll just give you a sec. Let me check out this question. All right. Yeah, just drop like a sentence or two as like your explain, your final, how to connect Ferdinand Magellan, Christopher Columbus to the Columbian exchange. For example, you know, these explorers, after coming to the Americas, prompted the Columbian exchange and began the, you know, something like that. You want to just connect Ferdinand Magellan. Because of this, the Europeans gave the Americans goods that they did not have, and vice versa. These explorers connected two worlds that weren't previously interacting. Carly, the rise of population in Europe, that could be an answer to part C, but not part A. All right. So I like this one. Here it is. And then we might want to just add on maybe a couple words. So here we go. So because of this, the Europeans gave the Americans goods that they did not have, and vice versa, which was the Columbian exchange. There we go. There's our answer. That's it. We have what, 1, 2, 3 sentences. So it's yeah, cool. Again, if there's a teacher in here who's like sitting here screaming at me that I'm doing this wrong, please, for the love of God, because I don't want to give you guys false information. This is just like, this is what I probably would have written, something along these lines. So, you know, again, take everything I say with like a tiny grain of salt, with 100% fire, and you're doing terrible. Oh man. Okay, turning off stream now. All right. So let's start taking a look at the next part. All right, so identify and explain one effect of the Columbian exchange on the Americas. So just first, again, give me your answer. Actually, for this one, drop your full short answer question, 3 to 5 sentences. I'm gonna then pick one and go through it. How can crops be diffused culturally? Oh, okay, I guess, yeah, you could just say the diffusion. Cultural diffusion will be fine, but the diffusion of crops would work as well. So yeah, I'm gonna give you guys, let me start a timer for, I'll start it for 5 minutes. Actually, no, let's go, that'll take too long. Let's just go part by part. Oh yeah, wow, I'm an idiot. There we go. You can see the questions better. All right, so let's start going through, actually, we can just drop your answer. What is an effect of the Columbian exchange on the Americas? Is it, population increase? Is it, there we go. One effect of the Columbian exchange on the Americas was the drop in indigenous population due to the spread of diseases that the indigenous people had not been exposed to prior to the exchange. All right, this is a start, definitely. So you got your answer. One effect of the Columbian exchange was the, due to the drop of indigenous population. The only thing is, I'd say then, that's your first sentence. That's your answer. So I think we're all pretty, are we all pretty set on death and disease? Yep. Okay. There we go. There's our answer. So we have one effect of the Columbian exchange on the Americas was the drop in indigenous population. And that's our answer. Maybe we could say due to mass death. epic. Europeans just went in there and wiped out half the population. All right, there we go. So there's our answer. That's not our answer. Wow. Okay. Where's the text color? There it is. I can type. Okay. So now give me some evidence. Give me some strong, specific. Yep, that's explained. So now let's give me some specific evidence. This one you should be able to write a good 2-3 sentences as your evidence. This one would be like the fat one. Because I think a lot of students would say, I think probably like 90% of students would immediately go disease, because that's like the one thing we associate. All right, so give me some specific examples of evidence. Killed off 80% of the Native Americans died in epidemics following 1492 because they had not built up internal immunities of disease. Okay, that's a start. Now I want you to name specific evidence. So not just they died due to disease, they died due to smallpox, measles. Those are the two big ones. Maybe malaria, perhaps. You said it, but the thing is, it's just the fact that you said it in such a it wasn't, I'll be honest, it wasn't long enough. The flu, they had syphilis. Syphilis went from there to there. Okay. Yep, Europeans brought over diseases such as smallpox and measles. So here we go. So here's our answer, and then we can just add on some specific evidence onto our answer. So, oops. So here we go. So 80% of the Native American population died in epidemics following 1492. So I could say epidemics of diseases such as smallpox and measles following 1492. There we go. Then we can say, for example, now explain, the one thing that I always associate with this is like my always higher thinking is the fact that, they hadn't been previously, like your higher thinking now. Why didn't the Europeans talk about it? I talk about why this is happening now. Why didn't they get measles 50 years ago? Why did they get measles starting in 1492? Let me see. Pathogens had been previously exposed to diseases like smallpox and measles. They had no immunity. This decimated the population, killing off almost 80% of the inhabitants in the Americas. I think that's a good one. You got some specific evidence in there. You might want to connect it to the Columbian exchange a little bit more, but it's definitely really good because they were isolated from the other hemisphere. Exactly. So you could say here as your explanation, because of the fact that Native Americans had never been exposed to such diseases, their immune systems were not prepared to handle it. There you go. There's our explanation. And then our final thing that we want to do as further explanation, we want to connect it to the Columbian exchange. We always want to connect it to our bigger question that says a lot about Europeans. I mean, the fact that they were what are they called? They were immune. Imagine sitting somewhere for 10,000 years and you're getting killed by these diseases and eventually you get fixed. But now you go over to America and now suddenly everyone's dying like crazy. First of all, they didn't know why. They probably assumed that they weren't holy enough or something. But now try to connect that to the Columbian exchange. So say something along the lines of, the Columbian exchange did this. I mean, something more elaborate than that, but along the lines of, this was because of the Columbian exchange. So just drop your, all right. Just drop. So when the Columbian exchange brought over many indigenous people died. That's pretty much something like that. And so we could say when the Columbian exchange brought over diseases, many indigenous people died. So we could say, many indigenous, there we go. When the Columbian exchange brought over disease, we could say from Europeans. There we go. So it kind of just more implies the fact that Europeans are dirty, rotten, genocidal maniacs. Don't worry, that'll come up in period 5. All right, so there we go. And let me zoom out a little bit. That's our full one. That's definitely, you can see that one's a little bit thicker. It's bigger when it's 4 or 5 sentences. But this is probably a little bit on the a good size. You can see they're pretty similar in size, and they shouldn't take up more than a page or so. Once we get rid of this, it won't take up more of a page. because the Native Americans had not been previously exposed. Once the Columbian Exchange happened, they experienced a sudden drop in population. Perfect. Mwah. All right. So now let's do part C. Identify and explain. Well, oh God! Wow, you're just dropping it in. Okay. The Columbian Exchange had a major effect in Afro-Eurasia, including the introduction of New World crops that led to the transformation of diets and population growth in the Old World. Couldn't you just do the same answer? No, because this one's asking, part B is asking about the Americas. Part C is asking about Afro-Eurasia. So yes, diseases spread, but you don't see epidemics like you do. You know, syphilis is pretty bad and it kills a lot of people, but it's nothing to the degree that, you know, that it was for smallpox. It killed 90% of the population. I like what, I'm going to butcher your name, but I'm sorry, I'm trying. Akhilesh, I think is how you pronounce it. I'm sorry. So that's our answer. The Columbian Exchange had a major effect in Afro-Eurasia, including the introduction of New World crops that led to the transformation of diets and population growth. So it's a little bit too much, actually, in my opinion. All you really have to say is one effect the Columbian Exchange had on the Americas was population growth within Afro-Eurasia. So I'll put this in there, but just know that it's a little bit long, a little bit much. So here it is. And then I will, so we can just say, so for example, introducing the introduction of New World crops, that will be your evidence and explanation. So a major effect in Afro-Eurasia. So we can say one effect the Columbian Exchange had in Afro-Eurasia was the transformation of diets and population growth in the New World. That's our answer, right? Yeah, that was great. That was a really good job. So yeah, varieties of foods. Try to give me a specific, like, you guys are saying variety of new foods, stuff like that. Now I want you to start thinking, okay, what foods, you know, specifically. There was an increased caloric intake due to staple crops from the New World, such as corn, potatoes, and cassava. These were a more effective source of carbohydrates. Wow, yeah, that's perfect. You drop 3 specific crops. Potatoes is a big one. Like if you're going to know one food that affected Europe from the Columbian Exchange, oh man, it's potatoes. Yeah, tomatoes had the Italian shook. Tomatoes didn't exist in Europe before the Columbian Exchange. Get that. So yeah, potatoes. You know, you think, yeah, wasn't the Columbian Exchange? It was last year's LEQ. Yeah, I butchered it, so I probably got like a 3 on it. I wrote that there was population increase among native populations, so you know, and I still got a 5. I don't deserve it. So yeah. Okay, so that's good evidence. There was an increased caloric intake due to staple crops in the New World. That's actually your explanation. So we can say a more effective sources of carbohydrates, such as corn, potatoes, and cassava, helped to increase caloric intake and population growth. There we go. There's our evidence. And we give a couple examples of specific, you know, good, strong, effective evidence. Like there's no denying that. And so now we can say, explain, connect it to the Columbian Exchange now. You know, how did the Columbian Exchange do this? Write a sentence or 2, probably 2. Why did this turn into a science class? Do a dab. I'll give you my PayPal. Pay me, and then I'll do a dab. No, don't. I'm not going to do that. All right. Give me a good answer, and then I'll do a dab. There we go. Yeah. What was the question? Connect this, our evidence and stuff, to the Columbian Exchange. So give me just a sentence or 2. You know, I'm just asking you, okay, what does that have to do with the Columbian Exchange? So this is your explanation. This is your, like, you know, your big, you know, 1-2 punch. You know, you got your evidence, you got your explanation, and boom, you just knocked out that question. And I sound like a 30-year-old teacher that's like, ugh. Okay, the Columbian Exchange promoted the transfer of these goods between the old and new worlds. Exactly. That's perfect. That's absolutely, you know, God level stuff. There we go. And boom. So now, there we go. So we can see it's just under a page, or just over a page. And the thing is, we also have this noise. So I'm going to get rid of this real quick. And boom, this is a page. That's a perfect size short answer question. like, good job, guys. You guys wrote that. That was not me at all. That was all y'all. You guys gave me the answers. You guys, and so now we've written our answers. Now let's see if we're right. I have the scoring guide up. I have to actually go to my Google Drive and pull up the slideshow again. Good job, Dylan. Yeah. So now we're gonna take a look at the scoring guidelines and see if we got something wrong. Did we get something right? Because I just wrote down whatever you guys wrote. I was looking more at formatting. Also, this might go over an hour. It probably will, probably a little bit. So, if you guys want to leave at an hour, I understand you guys probably have other stuff to do. So, so basically, yeah, you guys can drop any questions, by the way. If you don't understand what I'm saying at all, seriously, feel free, drop whatever you want. But here we go. So let's, if we fail this practice, then we fail the AP test. Yep, this is actually, this is the AP test. So, sorry guys, but if we don't do well on this, you guys all will be given ones. All right. Davids aren't real. All right. So let me close the video and share. Jesus Christ, I can feel my popularity just decreasing by the second. Okay, so now let's go down to these nice thick scoring guidelines. There we go. So a good response will include. So this is, so typically when you look at when you guys get your the scoring guidelines for your real short answer questions, it'll go question by question and give you real stuff. So a good response must briefly explain the role of European colonization in the origins of the Columbian Exchange. Did we do that? Yes or no? That's a simple, did we talk about European colonization and exploration? Yeah, boom, that's 1 point right there. And 1 point is big. All right. In addition, students must explain one effect of the Columbian Exchange in the Americas, such as the spread of devastating diseases or the environmental impact of the introduction. So, boom, devastating diseases. Short answer question review. And then finally, for example, students might analyze how populations in Afro-Eurasia benefited nutritionally from the increased diversity of American food crops. Boom. Victory Royale. So the one thing I want to point out here, though, is the might. These aren't the only answers. You could have probably argued, for the effect on the Americas, you could have said social change and talked about interbreeding among races and mestizos and mulattoes in the new Sociedad de Castas. It might be gross to you, but that probably might have been what I first thought of on the exam. I probably would have gone to disease, but still. So yeah, we got a 3 out of 3 on that. Give yourselves a round of applause. That was good. Only took us 40 minutes. All right, it's okay. All right, so now let me switch my camera so you guys can see my nice, beautiful face. And let me start going through these questions, start chugging through. Nice. Dab. I'm gonna have to think about that. Nah, I already did that. All right. Why haven't you dabbed yet? I did. Go follow. Nope. All right. In a short answer question, does the identify have to be not specific, like a contextualization and thesis in a DBQ? You're going to give a specific answer. They're going to ask for identify a change, identify a similarity, identify a difference. They're not going to ask you identify. They could actually. I remember one of them asked about, if they ask about a global trend, then you're going to be giving a global thing. But if they're asking for a continuity, a change, you're going to be giving a specific continuity, change, whatever. It's going to be a specific answer. It really depends on what it's asking. And I'll be honest with you, the one key to getting a 9 out of 9, which I didn't even do on the SAQ, is practice. If you guys just watch this, expect to be masters at the SAQ like that, and go on to your next test and try it, you could very well do well. But how did you find out if you got a 9 out of 9? I was that one nerd who paid $15 to get all of his papers back from the exam. And so I went through and looked at them with the scoring guide. So I got, I think it's 7 or 8 out of 9, which was still very respectable. Yeah, you can do that. It's like $15. I just did it because you can do that for any of them. I can hit me up on Discord or Instagram. I can give that to you. And I can send you the link for that. It's, yeah, you just send them a check. Here's my Instagram. There we go. Go follow me, fam. Okay. So yeah, that's basically that answer. All right. Jillian, nice. I see you around here a lot. Okay. I got here a little late, so this might have to be covered. Have been covered. Just tell me to watch the replay if it has, and I can later. If it is not, however, do you have any suggestions if we stumble across topics we don't know about? How do you tackle that? First off, the one thing, I don't leave things up to chance, in my opinion. I mean, there are always going to be things that you're not great at. You're not going to be able to master the exam in a year. But typically, just make sure you're confident on your information, first off, first and foremost. But then, yeah, there's going to be times when you come across a question, you're frozen. You're like, oh, crap, I don't know what to write. And so what's going to happen is just try to pick in your brain and just spit out something, even if it's barely even a right answer. Something. Make sure you have something related so you can even try to get a point. It's kind of your last resort. For the multiple choice, I know this isn't multiple choice, but I'll just tell you this now because I never will. What I always choose is, and I'm sure some teachers tell you this, choose a letter, A, B, C, or D, right now. Just close your eyes, whatever one comes to you. D, there we go. So that letter now is your husband or wife. That is, if you go through a question and you circle it and then you go back to it and you just have no idea what to do, fill in your husband or wife. That's it. So if you just committed to C, you're always going to be covering C. The only time you can't do that is if you completely ruled it out. And then you can, yeah. Basically, it's because if you have, let's say you have, if it's on writing, then just try to spit something out. But if it's on multiple choice, let's say you have 4 questions that you haven't answered yet and that you don't know yet very well, you're going to want to write just D, 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 C, 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 because odds are, I think studies have actually shown that you have a better chance of getting it right than you do if you just go A, C, B, A, whatever. So yeah, that's just my piece of advice. You don't have to follow it, but it's actually always A for AP World History. Oof. All right. And finally, when in doubt, see your way out. Exactly. And finally, explain about connecting back to the prompt as you call it. Okay. So each part will you'll always be answering a question. I can show you guys more questions and they might not be on period 3 or 4. They might be on periods 5 and 6, but I can still kind of talk about them and how I would do it. We're definitely going to go over an hour if I'm going to do that. So just, if you guys want to stick around, feel free, but explain more about connecting back. So you're going to want to, each question is going to give you a topic that you're talking about. So for example, the one we just did is on the Columbian exchange. That's the big idea of that question. So for example, for a question asking about causes of the Columbian exchange, you're going to want to give your answer, give your evidence, and then you're going to go, imagine like the little guy on your shoulder, right? He's saying, okay, what does that have to do with the Columbian exchange? So you're going to want to say, because of the Columbian exchange, these foods traveled across the Atlantic Ocean to Europe, leading to these foods being in Europe, or, due to diffusion between Europe and the Americas, the Columbian exchange led to the spread of diseases and therefore the decrease in population. So it's more just tying in that bigger idea of the question. You get better at it with practice, and definitely, yeah, you get better at it. I remember I was always okay at short answer questions. Multiple choice was like my kryptonite, but it was getting that explain point down that was really my struggle. Okay, so we're at like around an hour. I've answered all your questions. Do you guys want me to show you some more short answer questions? Oh, never mind. Wow. If you accidentally get the skill wrong, will you get the whole answer wrong? Yeah. So if they ask you like identify a change in this and you give a similarity between two things, you're not answering the question. So I mean, if you generally that's what's going to happen. If you give the wrong skill, you're going to get the wrong answer. And it's all right. Can we see a short answer question on period 5? Yeah, totally. You're gonna have to give me, this is kind of off the cuff, so you're gonna have to give me a minute to find one. But here, let me pull up the 2018 short answer questions. The one worst part about setting this whole thing up was the fact that there are only 2 or 3 years that there were short answer questions, and so I'm like scouring the internet trying to find these damn short answer questions because there are like 6 total. Let me see, is there anything on period 5 here? Yep, that's a period 5 question. Is it? It's a period 4 or 5 question. Okay. Let me try to find something better. Yeah, that's kind of sorry, I'm like trying to find one and I feel like I'm like ruining you guys. I'm like just groaning trying to find one. Before 1450. There we go. Perfect. This is actually a perfect one. There we go. Look at that. Look at me. Chrome tab 2017. So this is from the same test that, that these thick boys were from. So we can see question 3. There we go. Yeah, that's another one. Okay, so here's a period 5 one. Don't worry if you don't know this one, especially if you're on period 5. How well do you have to do to get a 5? I'm going to drop something in here, actually. You're going to love this. By the way, yeah, first of all, I want to let you know the time caps at 2 hours. But so if we are stuck here in an hour, if not, boom, there we go. This is the one I used after I was panicking about the test and playing with. It's really fun, actually. It's kind of addicting. I know. I don't know if any of you guys go to my school, but if you do, you guys do a mock AP, and then the world history teacher at my school always showed us this at least, and was like, if you got this on the multiple choice, this on the DBQ, this on the SAQ. I'm not comfortable giving out my school, but if you see me in the hallways, you'll know. Okay. So here we go. Let's start looking at this question. If you don't understand it, could you talk about factories in part A? Yeah, you could totally talk about the what are they called? The production line and the new factories, new means of production. Communism. Cotton gin, yeah. You could totally talk about how it completely changed the economy. You'd probably want to give evidence regarding, it increased production, stuff like that, identify and explain one way in which industrialization can be considered a political turning point in global history, and then the same thing for social. So it's asking the same question 3 times, but with 3 different themes. So let me actually pull up the scoring guidelines so I don't give you guys false information. Give me 1 second. Scoring guidelines. There we go. Okay. Question 3. Okay, so part A. For example, machine. Yep, perfect. Factories. That was a perfect example of. You'd have to give specific examples, not necessarily of factories themselves, but like you could. Your answer is usually going to be kind of broad. Like it's not going to be a specific things like factories. You would probably say like, production methods dramatically changed, and then factories, conveyor belts, et cetera, cotton gin changed. That's like examples essentially. So now a political turning point. Right, political is B. Yes, B is political. So which one? The South? Yeah, you could probably. You probably wouldn't want to. You'd probably want to stay away from the South because that's much more of an A-push thing. Napoleon, if you could connect it to industrialization in a way, sure, that's definitely a political thing. If you could talk about war, it's definitely political. What they have is imperialism, imperial expansion. Why the South is great? Because this is an A-push. The South is great. It's beautiful. I love barbecue, but this is an A-push, and you guys seceded, and Florida is not a good state. Sorry, Mickey. So, yeah, so things like imperialism, things like that. And if you're not, again, I said this over and over, but if you're not in period 5, that's okay, because even if, you won't get this done. All right, and now a social turning point. Try to give me a quick answer for that. Does AP Euro help? I wouldn't know. I never took AP Euro. Racism, okay. You could probably argue that's not listed for the College Board answers. Here, I'll pull up the answer choices now. Or not the answer choice, you know what I mean. The answer, there it is. Okay. So those are some examples of part C. So you could talk about living conditions, the development of the middle class. That's definitely a big thing with period 5. Social class separation between workers and factories managers. Perfect. Social stratification. Pollution is social, I guess. Well, you wouldn't want to say pollution. You want to say poor living conditions. So should we be careful not to go too deeply into something that might appear? I mean, if you give that, they would probably make good evidence. So like, for example, you could probably use, if it asked about a political change and then you say, I don't know, something about, turmoil in states, and then you give the American Civil War as an example, that's fine. They're still legitimate things. But well, pollution, the thing is with the pollution, they had it connecting it to urban environments and cities. But yeah, I'd say kind of, you don't have to like avoid US history or European history like the plague. You can't. But like don't stick to it. Don't like, if you start thinking the Civil War as an example to a question, you might be needing to think a little bit more broad about your answers. The American Civil War can make great evidence, though. I definitely could see someone using it for a question. And it's in textbooks and stuff. But yeah, like don't don't worry if like, yeah. I mean, if you connect how pollution affected the living areas, you would want to talk about the development of urban environments and stuff. And then you could talk about, yes, you'd want to talk about industrialization and you'd want to connect pollution, industrialization, poor living environments, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, that's kind of that one. Trying to think like, wait, on part B, is it talking about the Berlin Conference? That's definitely a good piece of evidence. That's a hella good piece of evidence. Berlin Conference, Scramble for Africa, imperialism, stuff like that could be a perfect answer for part B. I definitely could see someone using that as an example. Poor Africa, really. I'm just gonna, here we go. This will be our little memento for Africa, for imperialism. There we go. All right, so, all right. Oh God, I feel like I'm about to get sued. So, yeah, does anyone have any last minute questions? There we go, we got a question. Play Ocean Man. No. All right. So do you guys have any more questions, or do you want me to just stick around and go through more short answer questions with you guys? Like I can't find many, can't find many period 3, 4 ones. Like it would take me a Mongol song is. I don't know what the Mongol song is. Is that the Chinese dynasty song? Period 1 or 2. Okay, I got you. You probably you could very well see one on period 1, but at the same time, who knows? All right, sample questions, sample questions, sample questions. Give me a minute to just. You're gonna have to deal with me trying to find these. Oh, perfect. This is a good one. This one actually has a document, so beautiful, gorgeous. You could see one on period 1, but you know. Oh my God, this guy. All right, share screen. Honestly, I forgot about. Okay, period 1. I'm gonna like give you guys a kind of a breather here. Period 1 is like if there's something that you're gonna have to skip for the exam, skip period 1. Like don't do it because you want to, but like if there's one thing you don't like, if you had to choose one thing to cut out, period 1. All right, so let's look at this. I'd study it myself. Yeah, it's 5% of the exam, so you'll be fine. So here we go. Let me just delete these. Okay, so do you want to read this one, or do you want me to read it? You read, can you please? Alrighty. All right. This is by Philip Curtin, a historian, cross-cultural trade in world history, 1984. Okay, so we know this is the 80s. So trade and exchange across cultural lines have played a crucial role in human history, being perhaps the most important external stimuli to change. External stimulation has been the most important single source of change and development in art, science, and technology. Perhaps this goes without saying, since no human group could invent by itself more than a small part of its cultural and technical heritage. All right, let me see this question. If you delete this question, then birds aren't real. Birds, in fact, are real. So, all right. So, first, part A. Identify and explain one change or development prior to 600 CE, so period 1 or 2, that would support the author's assertion in the passage above. So first, tell me, what is his argument? Just what's his general idea? Trade helps spread culture. Perfect. Trade. Trade is important. So what is a change that you could mention from periods 1 or 2 that would support the fact that trade was important? You could talk about culture. Exactly. Cross-cultural exchange. Beautiful. And then you could talk Silk Road's your example. Silk Road, spread of religions, and that would be your big thing. Judaism developed, or Christianity developed from Judaism. It went Judaism, Christianity, Islam. Those are the 3 Abrahamic religions. All right. But yeah, that's perfect. Cross-cultural exchange. Nice job. I'm sorry, I still can't get your name. Aklish. Isn't this period 1? It's period 1 too. They're usually pretty lumped together. It's both. If you look, it's before 600 CE. So it's just before period, the end of period 2. So it's both, which is usually pretty nice because it gives you a much more larger breadth to choose from. It's period. You're probably not going to see a really period 1-esque SAQ. I can't really see that happening. You definitely could, but it's on the table. But like you're usually going to see it lumped in with period 2, since period 1's like that type of thing where there's like 3 questions on it in the multiple choice. and then it's kind of done with. You're never going to see an LEQ on it. You could actually see an LEQ on it, but you won't necessarily have to write it, and your DBQ will absolutely not be on it. So it's kind of, yeah, it's not really the most important thing. But there we go. There's our first point. Zoroastrianism was before, I'm not sure. You'd have to look up the dates, but that you don't need to know that. That's not really important. Zoroastrianism hardly is important in the AP World exam. Yeah, it was Persian. All right. So there's our answer. We've got 1 point so far. Excellent work. Identify and explain 2 changes or developments that would challenge the author's assertion in the passage above. So now we're looking for counter-arguments. Let's see. All right, there we go. I just want to look at the answer because this is a hard one. I'll be honest, this is a very hard question. Part B. So talk about how trade isn't important, really. Okay, you could mention the independent development of, the independent development of language. Exactly. We're looking for independent development, the independent development of agriculture, of language. Religion would probably be a little bit iffy since we literally just talked about religion. Alex the Great, how would you support that language developed independently? You would talk about how each individual area developed their own type of writing. We have Sumer with their cuneiform, Egypt with their hieroglyphics. We got China with their, nice, beautiful oracle bones. All right. This guy literally just asked a blank question. I love this guy. All right. China's development in isolation. They didn't use slave labor, so they had more advanced technology. Okay. Yeah, this is probably a more river valley civilization answer. So let's take a look at the and you would just do that again for part B. So you can see here, actually, I can't see you getting something like this, but there's still 3 parts to this. There's 3 points, right? They're asking you for 1 change and 2 challenges, right? So there's 3 parts, even if there's not a part A, B, and C. I learned today. That's great. All right, so let's take a look at these. What a good response will include. A good response will identify one significant change, the spread of crops, religious practices change. Perfect. All right. In challenging his 2 significant changes or developments in cultural practice or technology, the independent development of agriculture, cultural practices, the origins of Confucianism. Yeah, so things like that. There are a bunch of different answers. This was definitely I might not have been able to, like, part B was difficult. Part A was pretty simple, but part B, I would consider that pretty difficult. So yeah. Do you guys have any more questions? Things like that? There's no C. No, I just mentioned this. Look at this, though. There's no part C, but there's still 3 points. You have 1 change, 2 changes. So you're still going to get 3 points. Yeah, I did get a 5. Yeah, I could prove it to you and flex real hard, but so yeah, that's kind of. Do you guys have any more? I'm gonna get a 6. Can I do more SAQs? Yeah, I'd have to find them. That's the thing. Like, I'm probably not gonna write anymore with you guys tonight, like physically write them, but I could go through them and be like, what would you guys say for this one? What would you guys say for this one? More because I also haven't read them. So here's where I got this question from. So this was an AP style question, straight from an AP. Not this isn't an AP test, but give me just 1 second to try to find some questions. In the meantime, we've got another 45 minutes, so we can probably answer another 2 or 3. Okay, just drop any. Yeah, if you guys have any more like legitimate questions on the short answer questions, don't hesitate to ask them. So let's see. I'm over here just scrambling for these. That's where I just was. I'm just going to share my screen with you guys so you guys can just see everything I'm doing. How did I study? Okay, there we go. Actually, yeah, let's just turn this into an open Q&A for the next, however you guys want, however long you guys want. You guys could drop out of here right now. I see there's only 15 of you guys left. So how did I study? First of all, this bad boy. It was a year outdated, but yeah. It worked for me. I didn't actually read it really all that much because I'm not someone who can read a book and immediately get something. But definitely I used it for the practice exams. That's really it. What's this question? How did you get such good genetics? These aren't good genetics. Did I read the book? No, actually, I'll be honest with you. I did not read the book. I used this specifically. I did read it once for my period 3 test. Can I mail it to you? No, you can buy it for me though. Okay, so basically, the textbook? I had to for my homework, so yes, but I didn't go back through the textbook. How much for? Oh, I'm joking. I'm not selling this unless you make me a really good offer. So like, this is what I did. If this works for you, do this. This didn't work for me. I realized halfway through this chapter that I wasn't learning a thing. So this I used for the practice test, but also I used sites. What textbook did I have? I had World Civilizations, The Global Experience, AP edition, and my teacher had a copy of Ways of the World. So yeah, I mean, honestly, your textbook should be an extension of it. It shouldn't be your only. It shouldn't be your only thing. It's like 80,000 pages. It's a college level textbook. You don't like the textbook? That's okay. Not everyone. That's the thing. Like, people ask me, how did you study for the exam? That doesn't, like, my way isn't your way. If my way works for you, I learn really well through lectures, through videos, through stuff like that. And so that's how I worked. I was I was part of Fiveable when it first started up. That's how I got a 5. Fiveable. Did I use Crash Course? Yeah. I didn't use Crash Course for the skills. I used it for the content, obviously. If you're slow at following fast voices, I wouldn't recommend it, but I like it because it gives good historical perspectives, good analysis. You can't binge it and then expect to know everything on the exam, but it's good for How did Fiveable help you? The live streams, especially just the lectures that they did and just all that stuff was really helpful to me personally, to being able to, because I learned through that type of stuff. So she would go through slides and stuff like that, and I would learn really well through that. But yeah, like, my way of learning isn't yours. So if you learn really well by reading a book, read the book. I'm not here to say this is the only way to study, and if you don't take my way, then you're gonna get a 1. Like, no. Also, I'm just putting away the book. So give me 1 sec. There we go. Yeah. So lectures work well for me, at least. Any other questions about, like, preparation? How did you prepare for the FRQs when you had no idea what they're going to be on? I like this question. This is a great question. So first of all, I didn't leave it up to chance. I made sure to understand. I prayed. I made sure to understand most things so I could write a short answer question, but also practice, practice, practice. I probably wrote like a solid 4 or 5 LEQs just preparing for the exam. Like, I'd write one every week. It was like a thing. I'd write like SAQ, DBQ, LEQ. Also, take practice tests. That's the thing. To get yourself acclimated with not knowing what's going to happen, like, take a practice test. And so when do you recommend we start reviewing? My teacher finished up the curriculum in like late March-ish, Yeah, don't take a practice test now. I wouldn't recommend it because you'll run out of them. So take them once you've learned all the material and you've studied a little bit, and then take a practice test. I'd say take a diagnostic. That's the first thing you should do. Like, when you start your studying in April, when you finish up the material, take a practice test. Even if you get a 2 on it, that's okay. You got a month. And so then you study, and then maybe in 2 or 3 weeks, you take another one. Oh, good. Now you're at a 4. You study. The week before the test, take one. Take another one. Oh, now you're at a 5. Awesome. So that's how it really, they should be used as gauges, not as like stuff like that. We won't finish until like the first week of May. It's a little late. I know my teacher moved really well through the curriculum. We were right around this point, I believe we're at the Columbian exchange. So yeah, I know we like blasted through period 6. But then my teacher gave us a formal mock AP. It was like our period 6 test. And so essentially did you find your prompts for the LEQ on the College Board? Yep, they're all from College Board because those are the most reliable ones. I usually, when I'm going through things, at least with you guys, I always find stuff from College Board released materials. When I was practicing, obviously the 2018 ones weren't out yet, so I was going off the 2017 ones. We're halfway through period 4. You're going at a good pace. How did you start working for Fiveable? I was part of it. I was like one of the first people I was part of Fiveable when it was still called High Level History, which was like a year and a half ago. Yeah, this is story time now. I got another 40 minutes. Seriously, guys, if you guys don't want to stick around and hear me like blabbering about stuff, just tell me and I can shut this down. All right. So, but yeah, like I I kind of just got involved with the person who owns the company, and then I joined them, and kind of things snowballed, and now here I am. Do you guys have any other questions regarding the exam, the studying, the parts of the exam, stuff like that? Otherwise, I'm just gonna end this, and then I'll drop my social media right before, so you guys can hit me up, even if you get a question like in 10 minutes or something. But I'll do that now. Actually, let me drop my social media. Do a shameless little plug here. Go. How do you seppuku properly? Okay. So clout chaser. Exactly. Okay. So imagine that this is your sword, right? You're gonna want to take it, Jeff. No. Okay. Yeah. So hit me up on there. Do you guys have any other questions? Because do you think there are like big ideas for each period that are important for GBQs? Oh, okay. I'm like, there are key concepts. There are big ideas for each period. Yeah, I mean the key concepts. So for example, I would recommend knowing those cold. So like the key concepts for period 4 are globalization, new ways of consolidating power, and a new global economy. A new global economy. So like the things that they're going to be on, it's the big ideas. Like for example, the one they're going to be specifically on big ideas. So mine last year was, for example, on imperialism and trains. It was kind of a joke. Okay, how do I study for a midterm on period 1 through 4, a multiple choice midterm? I would say, when is it? Because if it's tomorrow, it's too late. But if it's like in a week and a half, you're fine. See you guys, old Kiesel. I'm still getting that in. The 15th, that is in weeks from tomorrow. Perfect. You got a week to study. I would spend tomorrow through Saturday going through multiple choice questions and reviewing content. The 13th and the 14th, I would say also study, don't cram, but like go through some multiple choice questions, figure out what you're good at, what you're bad at, and study what you're bad at. Don't think, okay, I'm good at this, I'm going to keep doing this. No, it's the opposite. Study what you suck at. So yeah. Any other sort of question-like things? Anything really. If you guys have anything to ask me at all, but specifically AP World. Can't think of any? Okay. Drop the Discord link. You mean my username? The AP Discord. All right, let me find it real quick. Yeah. If you guys have Discord, there's an AP Students Discord channel that is popping. All right, here it is. Perfect. Yeah, I dropped my Discord, but I will be I'll be a corrupt streamer for Fireball and drop my own. Ask a question. $40 for a textbook sound good. Are you asking me to sell my book, or are you saying did someone offer you $40? You'll pay me for I'm not selling my book. I'm not this isn't a marketplace. I'm not taking financial transactions. Yeah. Not in here at least. Okay. So no capitalism here. Yeah, exactly. You said if it was a good deal, trader. I'm not going to sell my book on here. Especially, I'm not going to, what if it's not, though? What if what's not, though? What if it's not a good deal? Yeah, really, come on. This was the book that got me a 5. I'm going to need more moolah than that. No, all right, yeah, is that no more questions so far, I'm thinking? Going once. Did I just, no, I went like this. I didn't flick you, I went like this. Okay, yeah. Any other questions, comments, things? Thank you. All right. Yeah, I think this is when I call it quits, just for the fact that we're kind of, good content. Yeah. Don't leave us. I mean, there's no more questions. So I mean, I don't want to leave, but if you guys don't have any more questions, there's no point to me being here anymore. You guys can keep chatting amongst yourself. It's just that, like this comment for more short answer questions. You can't like comments, but I will drop it as a question. There you go. I posted that as a question. Upvote it if you want to see me go through some more SAQs. We've only got another, 35 minutes, so. All right, I'm not seeing anyone upvote it. Okay. So, yeah, I think I'm going to call it quits just for the reason. I'll probably stay around here and just, keep chatting, but I'm definitely gonna start going live so I can, so you guys can go to sleep. It's only 8:30 for me, but I'm sure it's like midnight for some. Oh, there's a question. I don't know how to upvote. I'm a communist. What do you think? Perfect. Really. Okay. So yeah, that's kind of right. Everyone, have a good night. I'll stay in the chat for a little while if you guys drop it. Oh, no. Okay. No, wait. You got a question? You didn't answer. Oh, did someone ask a question? Do you believe in keeping your virginity till marriage? I don't believe in ever losing your virginity, even in marriage. I am a pure boy. Okay. Exactly. Really. I am a good Christian. Okay. So, yeah, that's kind of it for tonight. I'll stick around in the chat if you guys want to I'll chat with you guys and stuff. But yeah, but your kids won't get 5s either. Hey, this year is the last AP World exam, so y'all better get 5s. All right. That seems it. So I will see you guys probably in another month to cover long essay questions at LEQ. What's it called next year? AP World Modern. If I don't get a 5, I'm gonna blame you, and I'll blame you. Okay. Yeah, no. Honestly, don't stress about this. This score doesn't. Something that something that really stressed me out was my score. And I'm going to tell you this now. It's first of all, it's January. You got 4 months, 5 months. This score doesn't define you. If you get a 5, that is excellent. If you get a 1, that's fine. It's not passing, but it's fine. It doesn't mean that you don't know the material. It doesn't mean that you're bad. It just means that you didn't do well in this test. Yeah, I got a 5 in my mock. It does define me. I got a 2 on AP Human, and that's perfectly fine. Okay, so yeah, there's only 10 of us left, it looks like. Yeah. So I'm going to stick in the chat, and I will talk to you guys, in a month. And Mark bullies me. No, Mark, no bullying. I'm going to ban you right now. Here we go. Okay. I will talk to you guys in a month. I will, all right. Bye.